Hey there! Welcome to Tea Time with Team Epic Reads,
the not live edition. Yay! Happy Wednesday!
This is our 80th episode of Tea Time, and we're recording it because YouTube was giving us problems, so
it made us have a sad face. But we are uploading this video for you, so we can still talk.
We are going to be discussing our favorite high fantasy books today, so we want to know what your favorite high fantasy books. Tell us in the comments below, and there will be links to all of the books that we discuss in the description, or where we're pointing.
Anywhere.
Annotations. Okay, so,
if this is your first time watching a Tea Time episode, normally the episodes are live on Wednesday at 4:30, and it's the time of day where we talk about YA books and all the things that make us book shimmy.
But today we are going to discuss high fantasy, and it's all recorded, so bear with us.
Yeah.
Alright, so we have a question from
at Book Addict Guide. Brittany asks, what was the first high fantasy book you fell in love with?
I don't know if it was, I didn't read it, but I would say it's the first high fantasy story I fell in love with, and it was Labyrinth. The movie, but then Lord of the Rings. I mean, yeah, Gandalf. We needed magic staff. All we could find in the office was a sword and a scepter.
Although I said that's pretty good for an office space.
That's true.
And a cape.
Yeah, one of our coworkers just had a cape in her desk because, you know, that's what happens when you work at HarperCollins.
Yeah, you get a little nerdy.
And you keep capes in your desk.
My first story, because I was a huge Game of Thrones fan, and I found fantasy because I was a huge television Game of Thrones fan. I didn't read the books. Those worlds were too heady for me, and then somebody was like, read this.
So this was your first fantasy book that you read?
High fantasy. Well, the first one that made me fall in love with fantasy.
Aubrey, the question is, what is the first...
No!
Oh, that's right, it was. What is the first fantasy you fell in love
with?
Okay, she's right. I'm totally wrong. The Girl of Fire and Thorns by Ray Carson is one of the best YA high fantasies, and we don't say that, you know, because it's one of our books. It is. But it also just is really that good.
The whole trilogy is stellar. It's awesome.
It's amazing. Just keep reading because it's amazing. We also have 2 new high fantasy books out this week, which is sort of why we have swords and scepters and cloaks and are talking about all of this stuff. Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Rosh and
Clariel by Garth Nix.
I know, we know. We know.
Ready?
Got it. We got you. We got a little book shimmy for these books. So, longtime fans of the Sabriel series, Old Kingdom, Lirel, Aborson.
This is the prequel. It's kind of how you find out how one of the baddies got bad.
That's not a spoiler, don't worry.
That's not a spoiler.
And then we have Snow Like Ashes. You know, this series started in 1995.
Yes.
Fast forward, like, basically 10 years later, and high fantasy is still an awesome genre in YA, and books like Snow Like Ashes are coming out. And this is Sarah Rosh's debut novel. She started writing it when she was in high school, I think.
Oh, one of the dedications of this is like,
oh, it's
my
amazing.
favorite dedications. It feels really sweet.
Read it!
To everyone who read this first horrible draft of this story and did not laugh when 12-year-old me said, someday I'm going to get this published.
And
boom.
she did.
She did.
And look, you guys, there's, what's it called?
Chakram?
Chakram. There's a chakram in this one.
You want to do your Xena cry? Can you do it?
That's all I think about when I think of chakrams, which is pretty much all I thought about in this whole book. Like, every time I got to a part that I really liked, I was like, Xena!
I'm a huge fan of this book because it was like, again, I'm not a huge high fantasy, like, I don't have it in my bones, but the world she created was so relatable.
Oh my god.
It's grounded in something you know, the seasons. Summer, spring, fall. So imagine all of that.
Oh my god,
like,
it's so
built
cool.
into its own communities. It's something that my brain could go to. It was really great.
There's like magic think of like if magic was seeping under the boroughs of Manhattan, and like Manhattan was winter, and then like Brooklyn was autumn, and then like Queens was summer.
Yeah.
And then they were all like kind of against each other, but kind of trying to help each other, but mostly just kind of against each other.
But one is kind of mean and storing all of the power.
And like kind of killing the other ones.
Yeah. It's a really good book.
That was like the worst analogy ever. Either way, it's an amazing book. It's new. You guys should totally check it out. It's part of our graphic that we made. 25 YA books to read if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, this is your basic starting list if you don't know what to read in YA that's high fantasy.
And you can go on the blog and get the details on how to get all of these books and who they're by.
There's
anytime.
There's a link to it around here. There's some books on there like Ruin and Rising, the Shadow and Bone series by Lee Bardugo.
Defiance by C.J. Redwine, which is a hybrid of dystopian and high fantasy.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Told in 2 points of view with a very awesome romance. The Assassin's Blade, which is part of the Throne of Glass series by S.J. Moss. Awesome butt-kicking babe story.
The Burning Sky, which Sarah Thomas, the author herself, says it's Harry Potter with cross-dressing.
Now, interesting thing about The Burning Sky, and this is sort of one of the discussions that we wanted to have, is the differences between high fantasy and low fantasy. Because until recently, I didn't really know that there was low fantasy or there was a difference.
I learned the difference 5 minutes ago.
Right, when I told her. If you didn't, this is sort of what Reddit has told me, because I did post the question there, because I thought, we're a bunch of fantasy nerds. All right, Reddit.
You hear a lot of people being like, oh, that's not high fantasy. And
right,
I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah, what is the difference? So, to boil it all down, and of course everybody's probably going to argue us on this point, is high fantasy is a completely new world. A world that you do not know. There's no Earth-based world. This one. This is a new world. This is a new world.
That's not a new world.
Defiance?
No.
Isn't it? No?
No.
Oh, my bad. This is a new world. Smell Like Ashes. Completely new world. And usually contains some sort of magical or fantastical element. The Burning Sky. This is low fantasy because half of the book is set in a whole new world with magic and all that stuff. Awesome, very high fantasy, but it's also set in like London.
The same, a good comparison to that is also Harry Potter, which I learned. They are part of the Muggle world, which is our Earth that we know.
Exactly. So technically, that's the differences. If there is Earth-based worlds that we know, low fantasy. Only brand new worlds, high fantasy. It also helps if there are swords and dragons and, you know, court intrigue and
then it gets even grayer because then there's that middle fantasy where there's a symbol of what real world would be, but it's named something completely different and not our actual world.
It's like there are 2 worlds in this, and one's very similar, but it's not ours. So technically high fantasy. But see, there's so many gray areas, and we want to know what you guys think. What do you think are the differences between high, middle, low? Is there really a middle? What are the differences? What are your favorites in each?
Tell us in the comments below.
And then there's urban fantasy. But we'll get into that one later because there's just too many.
Too many books. All of the books. All right.
Read them all. Read them all. So that's it for this week's Tea Time. Tune in.
Not live.
Not live edition. Tune in next Wednesday at 4:30 on Epic Read's YouTube channel.
And hopefully it will be working. Okay, cheers.
Book shimmy out. Oh, I lost my tea. Wait, let's do the tea time.
Oh, crumpets.
The crumpet handshake. Ready?
Respect.
I forgot it completely.
I forgot it. Okay, bye!